Welcome back to the Friend Podcast. I'm your co-host, Sarah.
I'm your co-host, Sabrina.
This is our second real episode, but our first recording of the new year.
Yes.
I think we should just take this opportunity to say thank you to the overwhelming response we got on the official launch of the podcast.
Oh my God, yes. We heard from a lot of our friends, a lot of people we haven't heard from in a while,
yeah,
too.
And I think, well, you were looking at the website that shows where everyone's like downloading from, and I don't know if it's real or not, but we have some listeners in like different countries.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I don't know
if you
that's
are
real.
listening in where was it? Belgium.
Yeah, and then wasn't there a Latin American country?
Venezuela. How crazy is that?
That is really crazy.
If it's real, I don't know.
If it's a scam, disregard. But it's kind of exciting. Sabrina and I, as people who have to market ourselves for our work, hate promo.
Yeah.
So really it took us a while because we launched the podcast like a couple months ago, I feel like. And we just were like, I don't want to share. I don't want to record. I don't want to like post a picture.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit nerve-wracking, but it's exciting to see everyone's responses, reactions, and we have people who are like interested in being guests on the podcast.
Yeah.
Podcast. It's really motivating. I said podcasts. Podcast. And I think that all of our friends that we've made over the years have a lot to offer in regards to many different topics. So I think it'll be fun to hopefully dive into that a little bit.
Absolutely.
And I think we've kind of decided that we'll give like the podcast a year. We've paid for some subscriptions for the podcast for a year. And like that's going to be, you know, we'll see where it goes.
We're going to dive into it.
Yeah, but we're going to have to work through. We've already had some like ebbs and flows of being like into it. But I feel like, I think I mentioned, I don't know if we really mentioned it, but Sabrina does all the like back end editing of the podcast, but I know like I do the recording while we're sitting here, but then she edits it. And since she's an artist, I was having her do like all the graphic design, and I feel like that was like a lot. So now I'm trying to do the graphic design, even though I don't know anything about it. But you know, all those Instagram posts, give them a like. It's me, and you know.
And you're doing well.
Yeah, learning as I go. And it's not going to be, I don't think we want it to be polished. Like we want it to be quirky.
Yeah, and we're going to work towards whatever we want to work towards too. Yeah. It's all learning. Like I've never edited before, and here I am learning a bunch of stuff.
But I do think that you do a great job, and it sounds, I've listened to podcasts that are like low edit, and I just it's hard. You know, like the production quality matters. And if you come out of the gate with like good production quality, I feel like you set yourself up for success in the long run.
That's true. I agree.
So that was our little thank you and hello, because we know people who are listening to it. Yeah. And I think like we didn't think so hard about what kind of people were going to be listening. And like my cousins are like listening to stuff, and
my boss possibly.
And as you... So our last episode when we talked about books, our opening was a little bit vulgar, and Sabrina was like, oh, we should tone this back. But I think it's good to kind of come out, like if we lost you because that's how we were talking, then we don't want you, you know?
True. Yeah.
And like it is not meant for kids. It's supposed to be like off time, chill time, letting yourself kind of go, you know?
Yeah.
So
it's girl talk.
Yeah. And so it is what it is. I was thinking about what it's going to look like in terms of in the future if I end up teaching, you know, seeing things on the internet about me. But I feel like, I don't know. I'm not like shaking my ass.
Yeah, we're not doing anything crazy.
I'm just, I don't know. We're unhinged sometimes. But it is kind of scary recording them now, thinking about like all these people that are listening. She was like telling me, she was like, oh, her boss listens, and I was, or like did he like something?
He liked my story promoting it.
Okay. So, you know, it's like, oh,
yeah,
you pay me to watch your kid, and now you know who you are if you're listening. What's up?
I'm also excited though. Like,
I think it shows a side of us that like is pretty unfiltered, but it's fun.
And that's what's fun about it.
Yeah.
Is like you don't get this kind of content anywhere.
Also, I think you're getting back to the editing.
Yeah.
You said last episode was better.
Much better.
Yeah, so we're learning how to, like, talk into the mic. We have a setup now, which you can go to our Instagram and, like, see it. I'll post, like, a story or something. But we have, like, mic stands and actual, like, we can sit and do it. Because I was getting a little fatigued holding the mic.
Yeah.
And Sabrina's a mouth breather, apparently.
Yeah.
Which you never knew about yourself?
I think I was nervous on the first few episodes, and I was, like, breathing the entire time. It was so weird.
I feel like I watch a lot of podcasts where I see people purposely, like, move their mouth, or, like, when they're gonna like, when they don't want to be heard, they're like, you know, really away. I realized you can't see me when I'm doing that. But, like, they move their face away, or they, like, back up more.
Yeah.
So
you just have to get in.
Yeah, you gotta get in the groove.
Oh, okay.
So I guess we'll do our hyperfixation first. My hyperfixation is such a niche little situation, but I'm adopted from China.
Oh my god.
As I feel like the most of the people who are watching this know that, but we are attracting other people. So I'm adopted from China, and I've never really been on, like, Chinese adoptee TikTok, but I got on it the other day, and it was, like, on my For You page, and this girl posted a picture of her on this couch. And, you know, to anybody, to the naked eye, you're like, okay. But it's an iconic couch. It's a couch at a hotel in China where every Chinese adoptee has sat and taken a picture when they were adopted. Yeah. So now I'm obsessed with finding all my red couch girlies on TikTok. And I posted a TikTok, kind of went viral in the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where it takes me. Probably nowhere. But it's exciting to see, like, how cool would it be if, because I posted the picture on my TikTok.
You found one of, like, the kids in your picture.
So I posted the picture, my red couch picture with, like, a TikTok, and, you know, with the girls in it, which I was thinking about for a second, like, blocking their faces out, but, like, no one's gonna know who we are because we were, like,
they're all babies,
9 months old. But it'll be interesting to see, and it's just fun to kind of, like, be a part of this thing. And someone commented on another couch picture that was like, we should do a red couch support group. And it was just funny because I didn't realize it was the exact same couch.
Yeah.
But it's the exact same couch in the exact same hotel in a big ass country.
Yeah. That's insane.
And we're all there doing the same picture, and everybody has this picture.
You know, I think because we are always together, our TikTok, like, algorithm kind of syncs up. And I've gotten a few red couch pictures too. So then when you posted that, I was like, oh my god, it really is.
Yeah, it's the same red couch. And I talked to my mom about it today, and she was like, yeah, you should see, like, these girls probably have, you guys are all on the same red couch. And I'm like, this is just iconic. So that's my little hyperfixation currently. And I'd say it spiked 4 days ago and will go away just as quickly. But for now.
Yeah. My hyperfixation right now is makeup, which is weird because I'm not a makeup girly, but I've suddenly become really interested in it.
Yeah, we don't wear makeup every day.
No.
But she's been talking about makeup all the time.
Yeah, I think it's because I never really had good makeup, like, in my, like, teenagehood. That, like, is that even a word? I don't know.
Adolescence,
there it is. That I've now, like, started buying my own, and they're good quality.
You're like, wow, this doesn't have to be chalky and, like, stick to my face like a clown.
Right.
Yeah.
It actually looks good. Like, it can look good. Whereas before I thought, like, my face wasn't made for makeup, which is ridiculous.
I think my struggle with makeup is I would love, like, going out to coffee. Like, on Wednesday, I'm meeting my wedding planner for the first time.
Oh.
Yeah, and fun. I want to, like, wear makeup. But I'm like, I only know how to do, like, all or nothing, you know? Yeah. Like, when I just do my eyes, I have all these acne scars, so I'm like, it just looks dumb. And then we are big Rare Beauty girlies.
Mm-hmm. Love.
Shout out Selena Gomez, you know? No one knows her. She's like a small little business. But the tinted moisturizer, I'm not so impressed with.
Oh, really? I thought you liked it.
I like the full coverage foundation.
Oh, okay.
But the tinted moisturizer, I haven't found, like, it kind of just feels like it's doing nothing instead of a little. You know?
Yeah.
So I kind of don't know how to just do one. Like, if I'm going to do makeup, it's my full face, kind of.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's not the vibe of the meeting, you know?
Yeah.
So.
It could be if you wanted it to be.
Yeah.
You never know.
So are you going to, like, start wearing makeup every day on this journey?
I think I'm going to, well, I don't know about every day, but, like, right now I put on mascara because I wanted to try this mascara that I got. But, like, I don't think I'm going to, like, wear a full face every day. Like you said, like, I also break out all the time when I wear foundation, so I want to try to, like, see if I could do something about my under eye bags every day. You know what I mean? Like,
your
a good concealer.
eye bags.
Yeah, like a good concealer.
They're Gucci.
Good. I'm very pale as well. So like just hiding some veins and stuff like that.
Yeah, like a little equalizer.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's your hot take?
So we've decided that our hot take should align with the topic of the episode.
Yes.
Today, the episode is about our body image in our 20s and our health journey and all things second puberty, all the like depressing shit that happens to you in your 20s. So my hot take, these hot takes, I really feel like every time we just get like 5 clicks out every time. My hot take is that being fat phobic should not be seen as an excuse to be like unhealthy. So like just not fat phobic, but this fat conscious era that we're entering where people are like, it's okay to be fat. Yeah, but some of you are like actually unhealthy. And I think that, you know, obesity runs in my family. And I don't think it's nice to be like, because you're fat, you're ugly. But some clinically obese people have real health issues that you shouldn't have anytime, but especially not at the age, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are like, don't be fat phobic. We need to be inclusive. And I'm like, yes, I agree. But also like look inwardly because I think you have work to do.
I think there's a difference between, you know, body inclusivity, like just being body positive in whatever body you have. You can be positive in your body and still understand that you might have to work on something, I think.
Yeah. But I think a lot of people use it as like their excuse. Like they found their corner of the internet where they're like safe to be fat. And not even fat, but like clinically obese. They find their people that are like, oh yeah, everybody's beautiful. True. But heart failure.
Yeah, true.
Sleep apnea. All these things like clogged veins, you know, it's real.
Yeah.
So my hot take is it shouldn't be fat. Body positivity should not be, maybe that's better. Like body positivity should not be an excuse to ignore real health.
Yeah. It should be body image positivity, if anything. Like,
so that's
feel
fine.
Confident however you want.
Yeah, I don't think, I'm trying not to like, I feel like I have people in my life who are very positive about their body who I don't think anything about them for being too skinny, too like fat. This actually goes both ways for skinny people too. You know, being a body shape is not an excuse to like ignore that you might have an eating disorder or that, you know, like binge eating, anorexia, bulimia, like those are real things. And just because you're like, I'm skinny, like, no.
Yeah.
Are you doing it by like healthy? Being healthy, working out, running, whatever? Or are you doing it by like starving yourself, you know? So that's my hot take.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Mine is kind of in the other realm of body positivity. My hot take is body positivity on social media is fine, but when it's all you post and all that somebody is about, unless you're really a fitness influencer or something, like if this is just your everyday life, you post like random pictures and it's all just yourself on your Instagram feed, then I think it's a little extra.
Yeah. I think it gets, body positivity is great. I don't need to see your ass on my story.
Yeah.
And like once in the Bahamas, fine.
Right.
In your living room, I mean, we could do a whole episode on our relationship with social media.
Yeah.
That'd be a good one. And that also goes into that realm, but it's just like so jarring sometimes.
I just think sometimes there's a fine line between like body confidence and like having too big of an ego.
Yeah. It's the same reason. Wanting attention. Yeah, it's the same reason like you were saying being on dating apps is like wanting wanting people to comment that you're cute.
So real. Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted.
And it's the same thing. Like you're not posting that because you like want it to live on your feed. Yeah. You're posting it because you want someone to like it. And if they don't, you're like, oh, gotta take it down because like no one liked it. But that's a good hot take.
I personally have taken cute pictures of myself to feel better about my body.
I think they're cute. You showed that to me.
Right.
But like you weren't putting them on the internet.
I don't post them. And I think even if I were to post them, that's fine. Do whatever you want. But like
that's not all you're posting.
If I were to post that every day.
People who post only pictures of themselves on their Instagram, I'm like, where are your friends? Show me where your favorite places are.
Yeah, have me some diversity on there.
Show me your art. Show me what you like. Show me your big 3.
even if your life is boring, you don't have friends for whatever reason, like, post a picture of a tree. I don't care. It doesn't need to be artsy. All your ass, you know?
Yeah. So these are now perfect segues into the topic of the episode. I guess as a disclaimer, we should I don't know how it's gonna go. So we don't script necessarily. We like write notes about what we think we're gonna talk about, but trigger warnings maybe for like eating disorders. And also I think like it's important to note that, you know, we're not coming on here to be like preachy about anything. And if you feel like you're listening to this episode and you're like, this is making me feel bad about my body, then don't listen to it. I feel like that's not our intention, obviously. But I do think sometimes when people talk about being really like self-conscious about their body or really confident about their body can, you know, bother people. Yeah. So if you're like, I don't want to hear about your body, I don't want to talk about my body, like, don't listen. I feel like that's fine.
Yeah.
But
this is also going to mostly be our journey.
Yeah. Nothing we say. Also, it's really our journey, and we're not intentionally poking at anybody, and I don't really feel like we're even talking about really anybody else. No. But, and neither of us have struggled with, like, diagnosed eating disorders, but I know, like, sometimes things can trigger you if you have had one. So, like, just so you know. Just so you know. I guess we wanted to like start about like talking about our upbringing.
Yeah. Ours is very different.
Yeah, I think we grew up with very different moms. Mm-hmm. And that's, you know, due to their trauma, their upbringing, their ethnicity, their culture. So many things go into how you grow up, obviously.
Yeah.
And neither of us have bad relationships with our mothers. There's just very different relationships, I think. Mm-hmm. I guess like you can go. Yours is like,
yeah,
like, you know, you have more tea. I feel like
I have more tea. Yeah. Growing up, I grew up in Brazil mostly. Well, actually, that's not true. I grew up here and in Brazil.
But you grew up in a Brazilian household.
In a Brazilian household.
Like first generation.
Family. My mother is the most Brazilian you can get.
Or Russian, either way.
Or Russian.
her like grandmother and her mom, I'm like, you cannot tell me these people are Russian.
Dude, I need to do like a DNA test because I'm pretty sure we're not far removed from Russia. Growing up, I think a lot of my family is bigger. Not to say that there's any problem with that, but I find it interesting that growing up there was a lot said about weight, even though we were all bigger. Like my mom would always be conscious of what I was eating, and she'd always be like, hey, like, are you sure you want to eat that much? When I started, you know, becoming like a preteen or teenager is when like the comments started coming out. But like it did get to me, and I think it gets to most daughters that experience that.
I mean, you want more than anything like parental approval.
Yeah. And she also...
Even if you have the worst relationship with your parents, like, I mean, this is not a secret. Like, my fiance, Alex, very bad relationship with his family. Or, not his family, his mom mostly. But it's, like, nothing he wants more than, like, them to just say, like, he did a good job, you know?
Yeah. And I think my mom actually comes from a place of worry because...
Yeah.
Like,
she sees what happens.
She sees what happens because she knows her own experience, her mother's experience, you know... So she wants to make sure, like, I feel okay, I think. But
I feel like she just doesn't have the right verbiage to make it not the way that it is.
Yeah, to be completely honest, like, one thing that really bothered me, I came home one day with a new pair of pants. Flare leggings from Athleta. And she was like, oh, your thighs look really big. I took it the wrong way. I was like, oh, well, you know, it might be the leggings, or like, I don't know.
I mean, I've been working out. Yeah, your mom like is projecting how she feels. Like, you know, like her insecurities, like anybody else's insecurities, do come out when you like she probably thinks about her legs a lot. Yeah, and so she said it to you, even though you might not think about your legs a lot.
Exactly.
Also, you have a mix of genetics from two people, and genetically speaking, your dad has legs.
I am exactly my father, genetically.
Yeah, and so it's like you have to take that into account.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know.
Yeah, my mom growing up was very skinny, model type. Like, she couldn't gain weight, whatever she did.
Must be nice.
And then she got pregnant with me, and she got much bigger. And I think that's where it all stems from in terms of her, you know, reacting to me growing up, gaining weight.
But you're also, so your mom had you when she was 20, right? 21?
21.
Yeah, so like you did get bigger in your 20s.
Yeah.
But hers happened to coincide with a child. Yeah. But would she have gotten bigger anyway?
Exactly.
She doesn't know
Probably
that.
Not.
Right. Well, I feel like she might. Like,
yeah,
genetically, you also were pretty, like, stagnant until a couple years ago.
That's true.
So it's like, she just doesn't know because she happened to have a whole ass baby at that time in her life, but she could have gained weight because she was growing older. She just, like, doesn't know.
Yeah.
Easy to blame the baby, you know?
That being said, growing up, in my adolescence, I've never felt very comfortable in my body. Always felt bigger. Like, I always thought I was the biggest, even though I wasn't. Like, I just, like, that was my body dysmorphia talking. I always thought I was really big and I needed to get smaller somehow. Not very healthy at 15, 16, but
I feel like you also have your bottom half is much bigger than your top half.
Yes.
So it's like, it is body dysmorphia, but, like, you know, your body, you're Latina.
It's
you know?
true. Yeah. Like,
you got them hips.
Yeah. When I'm, like, walking around school with, like, all these tiny white girls, cute white girls, like, of course I'm going to compare myself to them.
Yeah, but our high school was mostly, like, Hispanic girls.
Yeah, they were all tiny, too.
I mean...
Oh, some of them. Yeah. You know. But, like, I always...
Comparison is the thief of joy.
And you always decide to look at the little people.
You're going to look at the little people, of course.
So, that's how it used to be for me. I think it's changed. But I'm going to let you talk about how it used to be for you.
I grew up in a white American house, upper middle class, through and through. Like, I guess technically we're not in the 1%, but, like, we're not, I feel like we're not upper middle class. Like, we were upper middle class. So, like, I did have a lot of opportunities and things in life that, like, you know, aided toward, my childhood was very active. I lived in New York City. I was in gymnastics. I was in, playing at the park, running around the block with my friends, riding my scooter up and down, like, constantly active. I moved to Maryland when I was 11. But my mother and her mother, my grandmother, who I never really met, she had a stroke before I was adopted, so I never, like, knew her. But she apparently was very hard on my mom for her body and, like, random stuff like her forehead and, like, her eye bags and, like, stuff that's just, like, sometimes you're just kid I nanny for, if you're a certain skin tone, you just got dark under eyes. Yeah. And my grandmother apparently, like, always pointed out my mom's, like, dark under eyes and stuff and, like, constantly critiqued her body. And my mom also grew up very skinny. And so my mom is skinny now. She just doesn't, I don't know. Her body dysmorphia is real. But I think that made her really conscious of, like, if I'm going to have a daughter, like, that's not how I'm going to be. And so, like, totally polar opposite from Sabrina's mom. My mom will tell me that I'm, like, ready for the Met Gala when I'm in, like, a trash bag and, like, I don't know. The other day I came to her house and I had, like, a bun and I had worked out and it was slouchy, like, sweaty. And she was like, Sarah, your hair just looks so good like that. And I was like, are you on what? Okay, sure. And, like, I wore an Outdoor Voices athletic dress a lot last summer and she'd be like, that dress is just so flattering. Meanwhile, I'm, like, boobs to my belly button, like, running around, like, belt bag strap, like, nothing about it to me is, like, cute. And so I grew up I was very lucky to grow up in a house where I never thought about my body image. Like, it was never bad. I also grew up in a family, I'm adopted, and my dad's side of the family is straight out of Michigan, Midwest, fatty fries, everything greasy. And, like, they are all predisposed to obesity from my grandparents, or my grandmother mostly. And, looking at that, I always was like, this sounds kind of bad, but, like, I was always like, at least, I was always the skinniest. So it, like, was just never something that, like, crossed my mind. Like, they were bigger boned girls. Serena's met my whole family. They're bigger boned girls. Like, even the ones that have flat stomachs are, like,
bigger people.
Big. They're, like, 5'10", and, like, they're big girls. So I always grew up thinking I was so little and, like, dainty and tiny. And I think it would be unfair of me to say that didn't, like, help my body image, to be surrounded by people who were all bigger than me. Like, because I never had to really think about it. But my mother was always very supportive. My dad never really had a comment about anything. More so, I think, because my dad's from the obese side of my family, he did have comments of, like, oh, well, Sarah, like, I was really skinny when I was 22, but look at me now. Like, my dad's a bigger guy. Obviously, a lot of that's also, like, health. Like, he has every joint in his body's messed up. But you know, like, he was like, listen, I was a football player eating thousands of calories a day, and, like, now I'm, you know, 200 and whatever pounds, and, like, I'm not skinny anymore. So he definitely had, like, a cautionary tale of, like, being like, okay, you know, you might be able to eat all that now, but you don't know. And that kind of, like, it never sat with me for a long time, but I did remember it affecting me because I felt like he was saying that he thought I was fat.
Oh, okay.
Like,
yeah, I can see that. I would also think the same thing.
Yeah, he was like, oh, I used to be able to eat like a hummingbird too. Like, you know.
You know, I feel kind of bad now because I tell Felipe that, my brother.
Oh, yeah.
Because he, you know, he's a teenage boy. He eats everything he sees. And
why is it that none of these gamers are fat?
I don't know, but I told him, I was like, listen, this is going to catch up to you because I've seen it happen time and time again.
My fiance Alex is literally has a lot in common with Sabrina's brother, and he also was. I used to be, when we first started dating, I think I was 20 pounds heavier than him. Like, he was a stick.
Yeah.
And, like, he's not fat, but he's mentioned before that, like, it's catching up to him, and, like, I can tell, you know, like, it's more work to keep it off, and it's more work to look the way that, you know, Felipe looks now. Yeah. Like, Alex used to have abs without really even
doing anything.
Yeah, they just sat there playing League, and all of a sudden they grew 6-packs. I don't know. But, you know, Alex's is gone. You have to work for these things. Yeah. And, you know, Felipe is lucky, though. I feel like your brother's very into fitness. Yeah. Alex also got into fitness, like, after he realized that he had to work for it. He was like, oh, home gym, push-ups, you know, whatever. So, yeah, I think my body image as a child, mine hasn't changed as much as yours, I feel like. But as a child, I had a pretty good upbringing. But now we wanted to use that to segue into, like, I guess we're kind of skipping. We're talking about how we feel now, but while, like, flashing back, I guess, to adolescent, like, teenage years, I guess.
Yeah. Just about, I'd say, like, 4 years ago, I felt like I was in a better place mentally with my body image. Like, I started feeling really good about myself, building my self-confidence. Like I said, I, like, took cute pictures of myself, and I was working out consistently back then, feeling good, noticing differences. That was the first time I started really working out, and I liked the way I felt strong and, like, more able to live my life without, like, feeling pain. And so at that time, mentally, I felt a lot better. That being said, I was, like, 140 pounds, which was the lowest I've been in a long time before then.
Also, because we're talking about weight. Yeah. Sabrina and I talk about this all the time. The body mass index. I haven't done a lot of research. I feel like you've done more. But that chart is something that has weighed on me a lot. Like, looking at it and lining up my weight with my height, I'm like, I'm technically obese. Yeah. And it's, like, just unfair because this is, like, girl talk, but I have huge boobs and they're heavy. And, like, my boobs are way heavier than Sabrina's boobs, even though our boobs are actually the same, like, almost the same size. Yeah.
There's boobs mass in there.
Yeah. Like, my boobs are heavy. So it's totally unfair for a body mass index to say, like, 5'2", you should be X.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Weight when, like, your boobs are, like, probably half a pound each, and mine are easily 2 pounds each, if not more. Yeah. Like, that's just not fair. No, and, like, no matter what I do, like, if I ran every day, my boobs are still 2 pounds each. Yeah. So it's, like, you have to be a skeleton, and then you have these gigantic tits. Like, to have that marker with not a single other thing is crazy to me.
Yeah, it is.
Like,
and
height, weight, that's it.
Nobody should listen to that, ever. BMI is not.
And if you have a doctor who tells you to look at it,
oh my God,
find a new one.
Yes. You had that, right?
Yeah, I had that, and I switched doctors, you know, when I guess 17, and that's made a huge difference. And I really, like, that's another thing, but, like, finding a doctor who listens to you, believes you, is willing to work with you, sit there and listen to you, and not just be like, oh, you're fine. Like, that's, like, look for that. I think it's more common now in the age of TikTok, actually, to, like, find doctors that are actually good. But
when we were, like, teenagers, it was different.
It was like, this is what you get, and that's it. But, okay, back to your...
So at that time, I was working really hard on my body because I like I said before then, I'd never felt good in it. So I wanted to feel good. I was working towards feeling good about my body, and it was working. But I was also working really hard to feel good about it. You know what I mean? And then, yeah, when COVID came around, I started getting heavier. My body started changing.
By the beginning of COVID, Sabrina and I were doing 30-minute plus workouts every single day together. So at the beginning of COVID, we kind of like finessed our parents into like letting us live together essentially.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, well, we don't want to keep, cross-contaminating. So Sabrina should probably come like live at our house.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So she like basically lived at our house for the first like 5 months of the pandemic.
Yeah.
Like the lockdown, she was there basically all the time.
Yeah.
And so we were doing workouts in my parents' garage every single day. Literally had abs.
Yes.
Like...
Well, you did.
Well, but we were also like really into it. Like we were like, it was, but also there was nothing else to do. Like we weren't working, we weren't doing anything. Like you got up and you did your workout, shout out Daily Burn, and you just did it, and that was it. Yeah. And that's not what it is now.
Yeah. That was the beginning of COVID that I felt very good. And then it suddenly changed really quickly. And it felt very sudden to me because although I had like stopped working out as much, stopped like eating perfectly like I first was when I started working out, I didn't think that I really changed my lifestyle that much for the changes in my body to be as drastic as it was. That being said, like I also like started other stuff. I started taking birth control, which really messed with my hormones. I gained like 20 pounds within the first like 2 months of taking it. And then I went to the lake and I like had fun, ate a lot on vacation. And then I gained a little more on top of that. Still like trying to work out, still trying to eat right. And I noticed it just got harder and harder for me to, keep it off. Even though I started doing more to get back down, which is not, personally, in retrospect, I shouldn't have like tried so hard, but I did and it didn't work. So I thought it was weird. I was like, okay, something's wrong. I also felt other symptoms that were usually correlated with PCOS. I thought that was what I had for a while in like the past 2 years. So I was
pretty convinced that you had it too.
Yeah.
Like she had a lot of markers for it. Like a lot.
Especially in the past like year, I started gaining even more weight. So it just kept going up and nothing's really changing in my lifestyle. And so went to the doctor. I don't have anything apparently.
She did like an ultrasound, all this stuff, and she blood work, and there's nothing.
There's nothing, no hyperthyroidism or anything. So I guess it really is just second puberty is what I'm guessing right now. But
it's definitely frustrating when there is no reason. Yeah. And I had a random health issue for the past like 4 months that there's also just like no reason. And I'm like, okay, I'm just like been sick for 4 months, like with allergies for 4 months with like no.
Oh my God, your immune system.
Yeah, I have no, like I've been having the first episode of this podcast, I was like congested, sneezing, stuffed up, and I'm still like, and I've had tests run, like other shit, and I just like don't have anything. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. Great. What is happening?
Yeah. So it's like frustrating. So like, how did that feel? Like to find out there was nothing.
I actually didn't believe them. I was like, there's got to be something rare.
Is there like a piece of you though that's like at peace?
I'm a little relieved that there's nothing that I have to watch out for. Yeah. Because PCOS actually goes into fertility as well. And I really don't, nobody wants to have problems with that. So I was worried about that as well. But finding out that I don't have it, although frustrating, I was also like, okay, so this means I have to like live life and see what is going on, Yeah. I don't have to worry about it. Like I don't have to be like, oh, I think I have this thing. And
or like taking medication.
Take
or like,
medication, take supplements to help it.
But it is like, nice. Yeah. Similarly, I also gained a lot of weight in the past. So we're 24 and, looking back at pictures of our high school graduation or even from like 2022, I don't know. I feel like I look different, but dissimilarly to Sabrina, like I actually haven't gained any weight. I've gained a little, like I think high school, I was like a pretty solid, like 125. And then, for like college, like end of high school, college, I was like 135 and like my BMI is like technically like that's the highest I can get. And now I'm like closer to, it depends on like what scale, but like I would say that I'm like 138 to 140. And I think like that is the heaviest. I like the way that I look right now, I don't think that I'm fat, and I don't, like my clothes fit differently. Like the weight is like different.
Distributing differently.
Yeah. And so I feel like it's so, this is like second puberty again. I feel like this is a topic, but it's like, for me, I know that nothing's wrong with me. However, I have been on birth control for an extended period of time. There is studies that say that, like, your body, you know, there are people who gain 15 pounds on birth control and can never get it off. Yeah. Or, like, until they stop birth control. Which, obviously, I'm not trying to have kids right now. And, like, I'm not even sure that that's a symptom that happened to me, because when I first started on birth control, I did not gain any weight. Yeah. So it's, like, hard for me to say. But, like, getting off birth control is not, like, really an option for me right now. And it's not, I've been on it for so long that I, like, whoever I am today, like, I've been like her since 2017 with this specific hormone pill. So it's kind of like, I don't even know, like, Sabrina, you had to, like,
I went on, you
missed something. You were like, this is how my body felt off birth control, and this is how it feels now. Exactly. I just legit don't remember. And so it's just, like, whatever to me. But I look different. And in our Instagram post for this episode, we posted a bunch of throwback photos of ourselves. Yeah. And there's pictures where I look back and I'm like, who are they? Ew. Because it's funny. I think we both have pretty high confidence in our bodies right now. Yes. More so than, like, probably ever. Yeah. Like, I'm comfortable in my body. I just know that it looks different. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I used to post pictures on, like, Facebook back when it was just, like, no one was looking at you and you could post whatever you wanted. Where I'm like, damn, like, that, like, how did you do that with those little, like, mini skirts and, like, the crop top? Well, like, you were 15. Yeah. You know?
You're not gonna look like that ever again because you were 15.
So there's this trend going around called second puberty. And it's not... So, first of all, not doctors, obviously. Do your own research on, you know, whatever we're saying, do your own research on. But there is a phenomenon called second puberty that happens to you in your early 20s that is a significant hormone change. So not just like, haha, like little dip. Like, it's a huge hormone change that's been documented in women that, you know, is your second puberty. And it's, you know, your first one, you get your boobs and your period. And then the second one, you, like, gain 10 pounds and, like, get a double chin. And, like...
Bigger boobs even.
Yeah, bigger boobs. And so it's a phenomenon that kind of I feel, like, comfort in. And there's plenty of people from high school or even before and after that I know who have had huge weight transformations either direction. Yeah. And, you know, some of them were with an eating disorder. Some of them were healthy. Some of them were bad, you know. But, like, I think your body is much more susceptible to change the older you get. Yeah. Like, you know, in high school, I ate whatever I wanted, and I never thought about it. Like, I don't even think I ever looked at the back of a box for a calorie. Now I'm like, oh, the suggested serving size on my yogurt in the morning is, like, I think, like, a fourth of a cup. Which is, like, which is, like, enough for a baby. Yeah. And, like, I tried it for a week because I was like, okay, if this is, like, how much I'm supposed to be eating, you know? Yeah. But I still don't pay attention to calories that much. Mm-hmm. However, like, Sabrina and I drink a lot of Starbucks. It's worth noting that there are a lot of calories. Yes. But first of all, this is, like, a pretty widely known fitness thing. Working out does not really do the weight loss. Yeah. That's mostly food.
Yeah. It's all about
the working
diet.
Out is, like...
Well, most...
Yeah.
You know, both.
Tone, but... Yeah. The eating is, like, 85... Some, like, crazily high percentage of losing weight is how you eat. And it's worth noting that neither of us are at the place where we're like, oh, lettuce. Like, no.
Yeah, no.
But I think second puberty is something that if you aren't familiar with it as a woman or a man, I think it does happen to men too, right?
I think so.
Specifically women, though, if you haven't read about it, it's worth noting, you know, your body also needs different things. Yeah. Like, you might be hungrier now than you were when you were 16.
It's the same thing I tell my brother, like, your body's going to change, and then I'm scared when mine changes. Of course, like, it is supposed to happen, you know? Yeah. And I am at the age where that's going to happen.
It's also scary, like, you know, our skin is different. We are now, you know, supposed to be using a retinol cream. It's a bit scary, especially for someone like me who I never really paid a lot of attention to, like, what I'm supposed to be doing to my body to keep it healthy. I know that sounds, like, bad, but it's the truth. Yeah. And so, yeah, like, I told Sabrina, I was watching a TikTok the other day, and this, like, dermatologist was like, I hate when I see teenagers doing these skincare smoothies where they just put a retinol with a niacinamide cream and a azelaic acid and like, you shouldn't do that. And I was immediately like, oh my God, I got to stop doing that. like, that's so bad for my skin. No. Like, I'm 24 and this is the age to use a retinol. Like,
yes.
And it's scary because you're like, oh, I gotta buy $70 vitamin C cream to, like, brighten my skin when, like, before I was like, you know, splash the Dial face lotion on it and call it a day, you know?
That's more than I did.
Learn how to take care of a maturing body.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of societal pressure on women, obviously, but with things like, you know, Sabrina's not, you're not, I feel like I keep referring to you, but you're right here. You're not in the place of thinking about having children in the next 5 years.
No,
probably.
Absolutely not.
But, like, I am. And it's like, is my in a healthy place to sustain children? What do I need to, like, you know, do to prepare? What if there's, like, this is a true study, like, statement. I'm not sure the exact age, but, like, you lose, like, half your eggs by 35 or something crazy.
Yeah. And
so it's like, am I wasting my prime eggs, and then I'm going to end up with all these, like, dud eggs, like, at the end? Like, and there's all these women now who are freezing their eggs at
our age.
Yeah, like, our age. And, you know, it's true. We know plenty of people we went to high school with. You know, my goddaughter all conceived very easily because their mothers were young. Like, my goddaughter was conceived without even, like, I'm not obviously the one to tell the story, but, like, it was like, you know, why not, you know? And then boom, baby.
It happened.
Yeah, and then, you know, I know people, my first nanny kid was conceived, her mom was 40 when she had her, and it was, like, IVF for years, and, like, she was made in a lab. You know, she was
lab baby.
Yeah, she was made in a little petri dish and then shot up there. And it's, like, scary. Like, that's a 20-year difference. And it's like, that's the difference. Like, those are the years where it's, like, can fluctuate so much.
And for us, it probably feels like nothing.
Yeah, but, like, right now is the prime. Yeah. And even I'm waiting probably till I'm closer to 28. And that's still, like, not late in society, but late for my body. Because technically we have it wrong. If, like, we had it, like, genetically or biologically set up correctly, women would be having children at 18.
My God.
And then going to college after.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Insane.
Yeah. So I think, like, body image changes.
Yes.
And I feel like we're in a good place.
Yeah. I want to touch a little bit on that. I think more recently, even though I have, like, gotten bigger, as I keep saying, I went from strict, like, 140 to now being nearly 170. And mentally, back then when I was 140, I thought I was fat, I thought I was ugly, and now I am the most confident I have ever been about my body. I'll be wearing, like, tight clothes and I think I look good, you know? Back then I would never do that.
Yeah. I think now we also, like, Sabrina and I will, like, send pictures to each other and be like, oh my God, look at my body in this, like, position, because it's different. Like, it looks like, you're like, wow, my belly didn't used to hang over the seatbelt like that. So I'm going to snap a picture and send it to my friend. But it's like, I'm not like, oh my God, I hate myself. It's kind of like, oh, look at this little change that I've noticed. That's like, like, a little depressing, but, like, okay, like, we're going to roll with it. Mm-hmm. And, you know, also important to note, we should do a social media episode the more I'm thinking about this. All the influencers you see, that's staged. I'm not saying it's photoshopped, but it's staged. Even if you stand in front of a mirror and you stick one leg out and you, like, do a little hip thing, immediately you lose, like, 10 pounds off your stomach.
Yeah.
So it's important to note that the shit you see on the internet is not real.
Yeah.
Like, and some of it is real. Some girls are just skinny. I have family members who are literally just ramrod thin, and, like, they can do whatever they want, and that's great. But, you know, if it's, like, bringing you that much anxiety, like, unfollow.
Yeah.
I mean, this is, like, I totally forgot about this till right now, but on the contrary to my dad's side of the family, I'm the fattest on my mom's side of the family of all the girls. Yeah. And they are all very tall, very thin, and, like, they don't have to really do a lot to do it. It's just they are.
Yeah.
And I do often feel like when I'm at family events with them, I'm like, oh, these girls are in a bikini. We always go to tropical places with them, I realize. Like, it's always, like, Florida, South Carolina, like, somewhere there's a pool.
How great.
Yeah. And I'm like, I am the fattest here. And it's
crazy.
Yeah. So it's, you know, like, it's who you are, like, with, and who, you know, but anybody in your life should not make you feel bad about it. Mm-hmm. I mean, Sabrina's seen me butt-ass naked, like, probably every week since we were 13.
Totally.
And I've seen her butt-ass naked too. And it's like, you shouldn't have well, first of all, you shouldn't be getting butt-ass naked in front of friends who are going to say, like, oh,
Yeah, absolutely
so,
not.
you know, get that out of your life. But it's also important, like, influencers aside, I'm sure you have this, like, you do not know a single person's story of, like, their weight journey at all. Unless you do. Like, you know what I mean?
Unless you talk
and
to
I
them.
know plenty of people in my life who have lost and gained weight various ways through, you know, like, I know the injectables are very, you know, in right now, like Ozempic and like all these other drugs that you like shoot into yourself that are like, they found out were good for weight loss, but were originally from, you know, diet, like, or they were originally for like diabetes, I think.
Oh.
And people who are like doing MLM, like,
diet
pyramid scheme diets, you know, I know people in my life who have done that. And they're open with it though. So I'm not like putting anybody out, but like, you do not know a single person's journey. And so like, you know, even someone who has an eating disorder, there's plenty of people in my family who have eating disorders, like, be generous and kind to everybody.
Yeah. I think nowadays we are a lot more open about this topic.
Yeah.
Like, I think I've talked about body image with everybody that I'm close to in my life. And like a few years back, that wouldn't have happened, you know?
Yeah. I had an interesting interaction the other day that I told Sabrina about. This person's going to immediately know who I'm talking about the minute I say it, but this person should also know I'm not at all dwelling on it. It was just like funny. I went out to lunch with a friend like a couple days ago, and I was showing them my driver's license for a different reason that we can't talk about. And they were like, oh my God, there's no way you're like 137. I think it was like 132. It wasn't even like, because it hasn't been updated in so long. And she was like, maybe wet. And I was like, girl, like, no, I'm like 138 dry. Like, and it's just funny because it proves like you cannot look at somebody and be like, they're 400 pounds. You know,
no.
It's very difficult to do that. But she wasn't doing like, so she meant it in a flattering way.
Yeah.
But like 130 pounds hangs different on me than you, you know, like
everybody else.
So my mom had a disease this summer from a tick and essentially lost, I think, close to 25 pounds.
Yeah.
And she's now thinner. Like, she weighs less than me. And, you know, humbling to have your 70-plus-year-old mother all of a sudden be like,
but it
a
was
little
through
girly.
You know, disease.
Right. But now she's like, this is the diet. Like, look at me slay. I think, like, there's going to be constant things in your life that show that you're fat or skinny or this or that. Take what you want, leave the rest. Yes. But I want, like, everybody to, like, listen to this episode and just be like, oh, like, I feel seen because this girl said X. That's, like, the goal.
That's a perfect segue into what I want to talk about. I feel like the way I feel now is completely a product of, like, just changing my mind. Or, like, just,
your
like,
mindset.
Changing my mindset on my own body and like how I choose to view other people. I stop comparing myself to other people, or if I am to compare myself to other people, it's going to be in like a relative way. Like, oh, this person looks like me. I wonder what she does. Or like, I wonder.
Well,
like,
it's nice to find like influencers who look like you. You're like, oh, those pants look great. I want to buy those.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
And I think though, in this day and age too, on the flip side, since we've only been talking shit about social media, like the whole push of like models that look like more similar to a normal girl, like there's definitely like a better age of body positivity than there was.
Yes, it's very helpful nowadays. It's easier to work towards that, and I think that's also like that also comes with age. Like, I'm 24 now, and I like my mind is like more open. I'm like, of course I'm not going to look like how I look like at 15, and let's look at ways that are more positive, and I can find a way to look.
Also a mental change.
Yeah,
women's brains are fully developed by 25, I think.
Yeah.
And so we're turning 25 this year, and so the closer you get to your brain being fully developed, I know all these little 16-year-olds are like, oh my god, I thought I was fully developed. Girl, no. Like, you become more confident because you rely less on outside noise the older you get.
Yes.
And I...
Look at us. We're experiencing it. I'm experiencing it.
Yeah, I am too. I feel like you were better at it always than me, but I feel like even you can tell. Like, I care a lot less about other people.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm not, like, self-conscious that my friend group is small. It's like, give me one friend. Like,
I feel like everything we say now, like, is kind of joking about it. Like, we're always like, oh, I look ridiculous. I look so fat. And then I'll
like,
respond,
look at this
like,
roll in this jean. Isn't she cutie?
And then we'll reply like, yeah, I feel the same way. Like, totally. But like, that's because we don't care anymore.
Yeah. So also to any like little 14-year-old that's getting bullied or whatever, like, shit gets better.
Yes.
That was the body positive episode. Thanks for tuning in on our little journey, and
tune in next time. We're going to be talking about
cleaning.
Cleaning.
Bye, friend.
Bye, friend.